Young Woman and the Sea is a biographical sports film based on the 2009 book by Glenn Stout. Produced by Walt Disney Pictures, the film stars Daisy Ridley as Trudy Ederle, an American competitive swimmer who became the first woman to swim across the English Channel. This review will be spoiler-free. This film had only a limited theatrical run, and it was not released theatrically in Australia, so I watched it when it was dropped on Disney Plus on the 19th of July. I always prefer watching a film in cinemas, but I can see why this was released on streaming. It is a good movie and certainly one of the better Disney live-action films I've seen in a while, but it isn't an incredible piece of filmmaking, and I think finds a perfect place on streaming for a lazy weekend watch. This did remind me of the kinds of family dramas that Disney would put out in the 90s and 2000s. This did have major similarities to last year's Naiad, which was a pretty hokey film. Aside from the Jodie Foster performance, I didn't get much out of it. When I sat down to watch this film, I wasn't exactly enthusiastic, not only because I had recently watched Naiad and didn't really enjoy it that much, but because I am also not really one for these triumphant athlete films. I often find them to be formulaic in their attempt to inspire and touch a nerve emotionally. This film did have good word of mouth, but the real reason I watched it was Daisy Ridley. Funnily enough, it was actually Lily James who was originally cast in the role. I really like her as well, but I think Daisy Ridley was the best choice here. She is an extremely underrated actress. Say what you will about the Star Wars sequels and the character of Rey, but Daisy Ridley is amazing in those movies. She is also great here. I enjoyed the sister dynamic between Trudy and her sister Meg, played by Tilda Cobham Hervey. Their father plays the role of standing in Trudy's way and underestimating her, so I was disappointed by that aspect of the film because it felt very cliche. It is no mean feat to direct these drawn-out swimming sequences and keep them interesting. And while the 129-minute runtime was excessive, it does feel like the length is necessary so that we can feel a sense of achievement for Trudy by the end of the film, a sense of her overcoming something monumental and not easily. Now, the screenplay covers itself when giving Trudy moments of failure in the first two acts, but the execution of those setbacks felt glossed over. She has the setbacks needed to logically push her forward, but considering how long the film is, it is surprising that it feels like she becomes a great swimmer kind of spontaneously. I still think that there is about 20 minutes that should have been shaved off here. Regardless of runtime, director Joachim Ronning injects the film with a certain level of confidence. A warm, almost golden glow permeates the images. Each dialogue scene is staged in a tight manner, and the film never comes across overly stylistic. Now, I always love it when directors play around with the camera, but I do feel like you don't want something like this to be too stylistic. You know, it's a bit documentary-like, and it really has that classic live-action Disney feel, where it's a family film, it's not going to get too artsy-fartsy, it has to feel digestible and unpretentious, but in a way that isn't lazy or boring. The kind of film that you could sit down and watch with your kids and have them feeling like they're watching a more adult-themed drama that they can learn something from. Young Woman and the Sea isn't an amazing film. It isn't even an amazing Disney film. I think it's been a while since we've gotten one of those. However, I think that it conveys its messages of female empowerment quite well. The way that Trudy's determination never wavers is a good message for young people, and if you are inspired to research it, the actual real-life story is quite amazing. The obligatory text that appears at the end of the film is generic and a little cringeworthy. I personally despise this device and wish that biopics would just end like a normal film does. Pick a pivotal moment to make a statement and leave it there. and I just wish that they didn't feel the need to explain things to me that I can search up on Google. You know, it's always like, so-and-so died at the age of da-da-da-da-da. This artist went on to become hugely successful selling XYZ amount of records. It kind of gets really tired and formulaic to be doing that at the end of every single biopic all the time. Sometimes pairing that with the real life footage, it just doesn't feel necessary to me. Despite the length and some of those formulaic elements, this is an easy streaming watch and a solidly directed film. I love Daisy Ridley. She is one of those actresses that I follow. I'm always interested in what she will do next, and I think you should be too. She is easily the highlight of the whole film.